No, never go.
Yeah, the hot seat.
I know I'm going to the hot seat.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Making eggs over easy this morning, y'all. Yeah. Hey, Buffalo, West New York, and Points Beyond. Welcome to Conversations with Jim Anderson. And you know, like I say, it's like medicine over the air. And if you take it, we gonna get well. You gonna get well too, and we all gonna get well. Hey, look, it's a beautiful day already. It's warming up, so you know what to do. Drink plenty of water. Drink that water. I had Raven remind me today, have some water, and make sure you drink water. And so you saw my post today. My guest today is gonna be Latashia Martin on the first part, and then on the second half, I'm going to have Austin Martin in, and we're going to be talking about a broad array of things. And you can join the conversation after we get cooking, but stay on topic, please. And don't worry, I'm not going to be boiling nobody today. I don't know. I feel like, you know, I had over a while. I had a little they call it seafood boil. I'm in the boiling, so guess who missed me this time might be lucky. But I got one. I caught me a guess, y'all. Yeah. You know me. I take people to the mat.
You do?
But hey, well, you know, I'm whooping on here. Look at me whooping on here, y'all. Hey, listen. No, but really, we got a good show. And you know, there are things going on that you don't hear about that we be knowing about a lot of time and can't get it out. So now is an opportunity to get some of that out. And I'm going to tell you what you hear. You need to be there, especially take some young person you know by there and check it out. Anyway, with that said, I am pleased to get her in front of the mic a little longer than you know, because she's laid back and she just do the videography, and every now and then she drop a little question in to keep us on point, and then every now and then she drop a blast in the razor point. So I'm glad. Hi, Latashia.
Hi, Jim. How are you today?
I'm happy. You see, I'm happy because I got you on the other side of the mic.
I know. Where's my son? He should be here by now, but it's okay.
Don't worry. Look, she calling for help already. She help Austin. She hollering for help. Look at him. Now he gonna start speeding again.
Maybe I don't know. He might take his time.
All right, yeah, slow roll. See what she got. He said, "I hear you, bro." Anyway, I'm seriously glad to have you. This is not going to be the last time you're on the mic, but I wanted to hear about some of the things you're doing and opportunities that are available for people to participate and to have it your way. Now, I'm not going to have her all hour. I'm going to have her a little while because that's what I'm saying. Busy people are busy people, and something everywhere, and really needed everywhere. So with that said, let's cook her up.
Okay.
Listeners, let's cook her up.
That's too funny. So my name is Latashia Martin. I do try to stay behind the scenes and be what I call momager. We are live, Jim, so I'm doing multi-use. So we're on your page as well. And so thank you for giving me this opportunity today. And what I wanted to start with is people have no idea of what I do. And I am a business advisor, and I've specialized in change management. And if I had to break that down in lay terms, it means taking a concept and putting together a firm strategic plan on how you can either grow your business or establish a business different than a solopreneur mindset. And what that means is that you're not trying to do everything. You're trying to understand what would be the right solution that I need to offer for the right audience with the right team and the right stuff. But each year, for the focus of today, each summer I try to do a pro bono project. This is not for everybody. It's me. I'm a faith-driven woman. And so when God speaks to my heart, I try to do this. So last summer, I was working with Ephesus Ministries, and we introduced the Buffalo STEAM Center. And it was a camp where we had 20 students ages 10 to 15, young people who were learning about science, technology, engineering, art, and math, because my personal motto is exposure equals opportunity. And so 95% of the kids, I'm being generous with that number, had never ridden a bike, didn't even know how to ride a bike. So each student got a bike. Wow. They got food from 9 to 3. We fed them breakfast and lunch and unlimited snacks, good food. And then we also were able to teach them each day. We focused on one area. They all got that bike that they learned how to ride. 100% knew how to ride the bike by the end of the camp. Wow. They got school supplies, safety equipment, locks, horns, everything that they needed for these bikes, and learned how to organize them, how to do presentations. And because it's extended to a church, they also every single day felt the hands and feet of Jesus as a bonus. And so this year we're doing our STEAM camp on August 26th this week. And this year our focus is going to be roller skates. And roller skates, yes, because I think often when we use the term privilege, people want to associate it with like the microaggressions that happen in the world, like things that are race related. They don't necessarily always jump to socioeconomic privilege. And so our communities, you know, yeah, people might skate as adults, and as young people, for us, we might have skated. A lot of kids spend a lot of time in front of tablets and technology. Yeah. And so this year they're all going to get real skates, I'm not knocking the big box stores, but it's going to be from an actual skate vendor. Wow. They'll all get their own pair of skates. We need about 18 more students to join us, and they'll get to design them, decorate them, and at the end of the week, we're going to have a skate party. So I know I just said a whole lot, but that's really what my passion project is. And if I have time during this time to talk about some other things I do professionally, but my focus for today is because it's about the community. It's when you have guests on here that talk about what can I do, we all have transferable skills. I'm not getting paid a dime to launch this center.
For real.
This center has expanded from a camp to an actual building, the Jeff E. Carter Junior Community Center that's right across the street from ECMC at 80 Durham. And it is my project right now to be an extension of the pastor who is Pastor Jeff E. Carter Jr., who is one of the selfless pastors I ever seen. He don't have a spot with his name on it. He doesn't drive a fancy car. He doesn't care about any of the things. Last year for the STEAM camp, he was cleaning toilets with us, repairing bathrooms. And so my heart is to do things for people to live a legacy beyond ourselves. And that's what this camp is about. And that's my focus for today.
Oh, man. Look, I know listeners, look. You don't need me to tell you that this is good. I'm talking about, you know, kids look for opportunities to learn, and they look for opportunities to get things that would aid them and that they would love. And I mean, giving real skates. I mean, look, last year giving bikes. The program, when I say it's not cheap, I'm talking about it's not cheap on what it does for the young people. And if you're an adult, you should stop by. You know, if you don't have a child, stop by and see how you can contribute.
Right.
And help out. They're not begging you, but I'm just saying this is also a program. If you come check it out, you might want to do the similar wherever you at, throw down your bucket and do it.
Absolutely, because where our focus is the 14215, 14211, and the registration is $25 per family. If the kid comes all week, they get the $25 back. This camp is fully funded already for 30 students to take advantage of it this year. And I feel really blessed because I think what people are able to see is authentic work for a cause, and they know that 100% of their dollars is going towards these kids. And so this center, opening it, has truly been what I call it a miracle building. I know when a lot of people start 501c3s, which we're going through the process of creating a formal 501c3 with a board. And normally people are like dying to find funding. And I'm not saying that we don't need it for the building, for the future state. But everything we've been able to do has been nothing but the grace of God, like people calling to give checks because they saw the great work we did last year. So we are fully funded for this camp this year for 30 students, 10 through 15, to go to this camp Monday through Friday. At the end of the summer, it's designed to be a bridge program. So when all your other summer camps are over, this is August 26th, when you're like, what am I going to do with my kids before they start school? This is a great camp for you to take advantage of.
And check it out. It don't cost you nothing. I mean, look, $25 to ensure that your kid completes the time period.
Yep.
And at the end, getting it back, it don't cost you nothing. And plus the child is getting fed, is getting a gift, is learning a talent that I'm thinking about it, you know, with all these Olympic games and stuff going on, you know, learning to skate leads to a whole lot. I mean, hey, you got a hockey team now. I ain't saying they're going to jump to that right away or even jump to it, but I'm saying learning to skate on any of the platforms leads to the opportunity of learning to skate in other ways. And so a community, tell somebody about it. We're going to tell you how to get in touch and all of that. And we're going to drop a few more stuff on it. Because I'm going to push her out of here because I know she have to be where she have to be.
Oh, no, I'm going to go to the car to take the call. I'm virtual. My business is 100% virtual. So I can stay on to my 11:28 and then I can run to the car. Everything's all set up.
That get Austin a chance to kind of wipe off the sweat and like, oh, how high do I have to jump? Austin, you see how high this rope is going now, bro. I hope you be ready. Oh, yeah. I'm loving it. I'm really loving it. And listeners, I'm laughing, enjoying it because that's how the spirit is when we're doing the show, just like we're doing the show. We have a good time, but we try and bring the things that mean something, that move the needle. And if you wonder how it moves the needle for you, look on the face of a young child that has had the experience to be cared for, to be taught something, and be given something to help them to continue to develop their talents. Man, you can't beat that. And then I want to talk about you and the team around you. I mean, you're a busy woman. You got people calling you for work to do elsewise, and yet you keep room and provide opportunity to engage in helping others that you clearly know there's a need. And I like the uniqueness of what you do, because sometimes people do a summer program, a summer camp, and they want to charge. People don't get that money back. And the quality of the program ain't really all that. And I know I'm talking what I know. I hear you out there, audience. I hear you saying amen. You're right. But tell us some more and tell us when we need to get in touch and how.
We want to have the kids register before August 1st because we have to order the skates for their size. They're going to be brand new skates. So they're not getting used skates, and we need time to order them through our vendor.
How old do I have to be?
10 to 15. Oh. Yep. And and this is what I'm telling people. Right now, we're looking for 2 teachers that are active. So we have an overflow in our budget that even if I had 2 teachers that said they would volunteer, with us we have skate instructors that are going to teach it in the afternoon. And I forgot the name of some of the clubs. I'll post those after the fact. But if there's teachers that are like, there's some adults that are retired teachers or retired at heart and have the capacity, because I know a lot of teachers have to be back in school. If you want to participate with us, there's already one volunteer in church. Like, we will give you a pair of skates as well, so you can skate with them and to just be involved. Because one of the things I'm learning about this particular community, I will say often where I grew up, but I feel like people misjudge behaviors, but it's really hopelessness. And so when people don't have hope or they're hurt, they hurt people, but that's not the intention. It's just, this is their survival mechanism. So I've been there. I actually moved my business to work from there while I'm there. And it has been some eye-opening experiences, but I think what breaks my heart, and even collectively, even in my day job as a business advisor or doing change management with global organizations, it always makes me sad that we're not in the room. I don't even think we know the rooms exist sometimes. Not the right rooms. Some of the rooms we're fighting for are not where the money moves are being made. I know when I graduated from college as an engineer, I didn't have a mentor. But the white guys, they had informal mentorship. And so I'm focusing on my checker game of, I'm going to work really hard and you're going to see my work and I'm going to get a promotion. No, that's not where the promotions are done. Actually, 80% of the jobs that you probably would want, by the time they're posted, they're already geared for a person.
See that?
What are the conversations people are having when you're not in the room? Are you prepared if someone gave you an opportunity? And so for me, the reason why I feel this has been a blessing is I can do these pro bono things without even compromising. I feel very privileged and blessed to live a holistic life. And what I mean by that is my day work and my work that I do, I could be on a conference call with my client and say, I just got off the radio promoting this program, so I'm in the car. And I'm not cheap, and nor do my people pay me a poor fee. I get paid very well, and it is a privilege for that. And for me, one of my things for business owners, and this is my side plug, is like, even when we do entrepreneurship, which is one of the goals of this program, I want to show us, for a lot of the times when we're in here crying about the opportunities that we can't get, it's because we're not structured properly. And not structured necessarily to say I want $1 million business, but we don't even have profitable businesses.
Oh, right.
And that breaks my heart, because I want to give you an opportunity. Just the other day, I was meeting with someone. I'm like, man, I know people, but I don't even have a person I could plug into this opportunity because they haven't shown up in a way that I could trust handing them off to that. Yeah, and
your credibility be on the line.
Yeah, so even when I'm in this center, like I met a young man, he has a landscaping business, and I was asking him, I said, are you a MBE? And he's like, I'm certified. I said, no, are you a minority business certification? I said, because you're running around doing lawns in the neighborhood, and that's great. But you could have a contract, even if it's a subcontract with ECMC, to do one area and probably get paid in a day, which you get paid in a week right now. Mm-hmm. And he said, thank you, miss, for putting me down on game. Because I'm not judging what I'm walking up on. I just want everybody to be exposed to other opportunities so that when we're sitting there and we see these requests for proposals, we can prepare ourselves for them. Even with these kids, part of the reason, and I know I could talk forever, I want them exposed to these programs is because I remember, like I said, graduating from engineering school and getting my first job, even though it was in Buffalo, it was culture shock. I looked around and I'm like, wait, okay, so the top 3 people are Black. Well, other than that, like, where's the other Black engineers? I remember getting on the elevator and they're like, we have to go through this training on, equal. And I said, well, look at this elevator. Not only am I the only Black person, I'm the only woman. I'm the youngest woman at the time in this elevator, and you can't even understand why a conversation needs to be had.
Wow.
So I just, I'm passionate about exposing people to all kinds of opportunity. I don't have a crab apple mentality. I feel like there is enough money and opportunities for everybody. And that is one of my professional goals, is to even create a hub different from some of the hubs that exist, to show how can we partner together and create a framework like the Jewish communities, where we are all really good at the thing that we are good at, and we can work together and everybody can get the overflow, like not just survival, but how can we make an abundance so that we can really work together, because that's the reason we can't.
Oh man, you got this mindset that is so needed about sharing the gifts, the opportunities, and the work. And that those who already have the ability do the work that we might infect others. I'm sitting here like, folks just don't know not only about your kindness, which speaks to how deep your heart and mind is in doing the work you do, and your professionalism, nobody can question. And I'm saying, if you think what we're sharing here about not only the youth opportunity, what she just mentioned about other parts of her business work, wait till you hear her when she's talking about the upper end of the work she does, that you adults that are listening could be a part of. You adults that are listening can be a part of this. This summer camp, we need places that are safe for our young people to gather. Don't need them in big old crowds that can't be managed, but in manageable crowds and with caretakers who are going to really move them from one point to the next, that you'll see the learning when they get home. By the way, is STEM an acronym for a particular?
Yeah, so we're actually doing a STEAM camp, and the reason that
STEAM.
Yes, so STEM is the popular one. That's science, technology, engineering, and math. We're doing a STEAM camp: science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And so what I do share with people is that if you have an expertise as a scientist, as someone who specializes in technology, and I'm talking about like IT, like the stuff that we don't even realize we depend on, engineering, arts, and math. I'm also a firm believer that you can make money doing anything. I remember Arnold Schwarzenegger saying that at the time, years ago, his person who cleaned his car made 6 figures just cleaning his cars because he was an expert at it. So each one of these letters stand for a specific discipline. And I love to have these kids meet people who look like them, who are working in these industries, to be guest speakers. Even if we don't have them pre-scheduled, if they wanted to pop in and just meet some of these kids, it just warmed my heart so much last year to be a part of this and just see the excitement and the joy with these kids.
Indeed. Well, I want to tell you right now, Brother Michael Mingo would like to get in touch with you. He is a locksmith, and he's listening, and he is very much excited about what you're talking about, and he'll look forward to talking to you. So I'll give you his number, and he can, and Mike, hey, that's the way to do it. See, folks, when you're listening to something and it connects to you, reach out and touch. I mean, that's how we're going to make it better. And we're in a new moment now. We're in a moment of excitement that knowing we can do better, let's do it. And where you got one or two, that's all it takes, and the rest will start coming. So let's go over the summer camp again.
Sure. It's the Buffalo STEAM Camp. It's going to be housed at the Jeff E. Carter Community Center at 80 Durham, which is a part of an extension of Ephesus Ministries. And I do want to say this other thing. It's going to be August 26th to the September 1st, and it's from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. daily. But I do want to leave with this one note. We are intentionally opening up this center to be a community. That's why we're only taking 30 kids. There's people who are listening right now who are more versed in nonprofit work than I am, because that is not my area of expertise. But I do believe that with God, all things are possible, but I don't have a crab apple mentality. So this is what I want to say before we leave. If there's any other church or any other community center that wants to even duplicate what we're doing at the same time frame, I don't care. Just reach out to us, and you can reach us and you know what, I'll put the information there, but you can go to EphesusMinistries.com, and there is, like, if you scroll on their homepage, they can see how to get in touch with this camp, and there's an email there to get in touch with our administrator for this program. But I am confident that if we can start exposing our kids to stuff that's different, we will all be blown away with what God can do. Because last year we had nothing, and it was a fully funded with we had $1,300 left over with fundraising, and I don't even know how to do fundraising. That had to be God, right? This year, our camp is already fully paid for food, for everything, stipends for everything. And I didn't go out begging people for money. It was people saying, I see the work you're doing. So I just want to share with anyone listening to this, if you want to duplicate the same type of program, because this is how we change the future, is by focusing on our kids with tangible things that they can be entrepreneurs in any of this space, in any one of those letters, and be all that they desire to be, and really put our actions where our words are. So I really just want to let people know you can find me anywhere at I am the Latashia, I think is what you told me to change my handle to, or Latashia Martin, Latashia Martin. You can Google me and you can find me really easy. I Googled myself the other day. It gave me my personal cell phone number. I'm like, what is that? However, I just want to encourage you to say that we all can do something. And if you can't do a full camp, maybe you can partner with us, volunteer with us, and see how to do it. It's not a secret sauce. I have an open mind frame, because this is what I know. For being in business full time for 9.5 years, the only thing God told me when I left my high paying job was don't hustle and to obey him. And when I tell you that whenever I need him, he does exceedingly more than I could ever imagine through referrals only. I am the product. I don't have products. I am the product. And God has given me referrals for contracts up to $75,000 with somebody seeing the work and just making a referral. And it was a blessing this year to even make a referral for somebody else for a 5-figure deal with no expectation, because it hasn't done for me. I want to do it for others. So that's where I want us to wrap up. My name is Latashia Martin. Thank you. And I think we're going to turn it over to y'all.
Okay. Look. This is I'm lit. I'm telling you. And I know anybody listening is like sitting there with their mouth wide open, like just, pleasantly amazed, because we don't get a lot of folks who are giving themselves. And the evidence is, look at our young people. I'm not talking about programs that house young people. I'm talking about programs that really seek to develop them and expose them to things, just as you said at the beginning, things that they haven't been up close with, don't know about. And that is room for a lot of other people. I'm in my mind right now, the text that came in from Michael Mingo, I'm thinking about, here's a locksmith.
Yeah.
And I already know the businesses he's done and with his daughters and everything. I'm like, oh man. Hey, look, listeners, don't take it lightly. There's an opportunity to be the rising tide while we're waiting for so-called politicians to do what they want. We ain't mad, but they got to catch up with us, and we don't need to just wait for them. There are things we can do. And the summer camp that is happening over on Durham is an example, but even greater than that is the product that's doing it, and that is Latashia Martin. And you'll hear
it's a team. I want to say it's a team of volunteers. There's some great volunteers, and this is what we know. We don't want to just expose them or expose ourselves. We want to be prepared for the opportunities. And I know my last analogy is I keep saying it is. I remember a pastor saying once he wanted a mobile and global missionary, and somebody came to him and said, "I have a great opportunity, fully paid for you to go over the seas to Africa." And they said, "But do you have your passport?" And he didn't.
Wow.
So we're not even prepared sometimes. And that's what these types of programs, or like I said, if you wanted to work with me, I think I'm going to do these sipping strategies. I don't know where I'm going to do them. But just to encourage people to be ready for the opportunities, not just say I want to hook up. I want an open door that I can walk through and shock the person that opened the door and do great work for the people who have given me the opportunity.
Man, I'm feeling that.
Yeah.
I'm feeling that. It's,
all right,
somewhere in the song it said, "Is it all over my face?" I'm feeling that, y'all. Thank you, Latashia.
You're welcome.
And
you know,
we're moving. We're doing a little more move up in the room, so don't mind the pause. You can still call.
Oh, never mind. You're fine.
And I want to tell you, I'm really pleased today because when Latashia and Austin are in the room, they just deal with the issues we got. And I know the other things that they're doing is just something that needs to express, and that it will hit somebody else, and somebody else say, oh, you can do, that you can be multi-talented, engaging in many things that not only improve yourself, but help your community as well as others around you. And it is, I mean, I'm pleased today. So, we're gonna be giving the mic over to Austin, and any way he wants to come, any side of the table he wants to come from, we got it. That's how I have to move. We stay where we at. And I look forward to hearing him talk. In fact, a lot of time I just want to be quiet and let him just fly like he want to fly. And I'm telling you, he's been over a year on air. And the growth, the connection, and the follow through that he does on things. I mean, look, being a parent is pleasing, but being, as we all are in the community to our young folks, a parent, a caretaker, someone who want to help them up. I'm just pleased to have a little touch and a little opportunity to move along with him. This is Austin, all I can say, I'm really enjoying it. I can lean back and chill. But really, everything I say, you deserve it and more. And I'm watching all the different things you're doing. And I'm seeing that even as he does this week after week, no arm twisting, even if I say, "Hey, Austin, you have to come in," he's diligent. He'll come in. And look, I'm gonna stop talking. I'm gonna give you the mic, and you can have it any way you want.
I appreciate it, and I'll say, I know I came in a couple minutes after, but we'll talk about my stuff after the break, because I definitely want to touch on what my mom was speaking about. I know I was a little quiet, and we'll talk on that in the second half of
that was so.
But it's to the point of, like you said, I have a great image. I think one thing my mom doesn't do credit on, or a lot of my family doesn't do credit on, are they make sure that they walk the walk that we talk. And I mean that to say that me and my mom drive through the same communities. Me and my mom go to the same church that the other church members go to. Me and my mom saw the same building that other people saw, but something in her said, I can't keep sitting here and saying something needs to be done and not do it myself. And as we'll talk about in the second half of my stuff, that's pretty much what got me into what I'm doing, is teaching, speaking as well. Because it was, I can't keep talking about this. I can't keep benefiting from this and not helping others with it. And so I definitely think that, as you can hear, the work that she does, I'm a hard person to please. I'm a hard person to impress. But time and time again, my mom impresses me through how she follows through with things. her execution is to that level where, like you see, when she say she gonna do something and she say $25, it's gonna be so set up you gonna get your 25 back. And so after we come back from commercial break, I'll talk more on myself, but make sure to check out this STEAM summer camp, because I promise you, for someone in this community, learning how to skate seems like a small skill, but learning something shows you can, and we need people to believe they can. So thank you.
Sure enough.
We'll see you after the
break. Are we at break time? Right on.
Yeah,
right on.
So,
I'm so glad. Look.
Oh, shoot. I didn't even know you got the 25 back.
Yeah, I did that. And look, I learned how to ice skate when I was a kid under those same situations. Right in Willard Park. In Willard Park, we had the park, we had the project park, but we had the park. And it had a basketball court, it had a big sand lot, had a wading pool. And in the sand lot, when I was growing up, they would cover it over, have pipes and stuff in there to turn it into an ice rink. And that's where I learned how to skate. And while skating there in a program, that's how I got my first hockey skates. I didn't know the difference between figure skate, hockey skate, race skates, you know, the difference in the blades. But that's how I learned it. And so this summer camp that Latashia and others are engaged in is something that excites me and warms my heart as I look back in history for me. And I think about, wow, if it hadn't have been for somebody being a shoulder to lift me up, taking the opportunity to expose me to something I didn't know and had no skills in, and I could skate. Learn how to roller skate. We used to, when I was growing up, I might have mentioned once before, used to have those little steel skates where you hook them to your shoe and have your little key there. You could tighten it up. And that's what we used to skate in. But man, I'm telling you, to have the opportunity to really learn, just like young people learning to play the different sports. When somebody teaches you, it has a whole different effect on how you can use that talent. And I just think we ought to be aware. We back on air, and I'm the mic is with Austin, and I'm enjoying with you too.
Well, I appreciate it, and like I said, I just, it's what we talked about for the STEAM camp. Like you said, learning a skill. I think people underestimate how important and liberating it is. Learning is a process. Learning how to receive information and use it as a process, and when you achieve that feeling of achievement, it's the beginning of what fueled a lot of great thinkers and achievers over history, in my opinion. I know for myself as a young person, the smallest things, learning how to ride a bike, tie my shoe, these things built up my confidence so that I'm not saying I was unshakable. I'm not unshakable now, but I'm confident that I can learn. I'm confident that I can think. And that's way more powerful than just believing that I'm smart. Because if I just thought I was smart, then I would avoid every instance that could potentially make me feel like I'm dumb. But I'm not scared of feeling dumb, because I know that's not me. Right. I'm confident that I can think and figure it out. And that's what's gotten me through. So I definitely, like I said, shout out to
you raised a good point there. Because people may not notice it, and certainly we as children don't always know how to express it. But when we're getting things that are building our confidence, man, doesn't it feel good? Right. I mean, it's like when you're young, a child getting some assistance to help them, especially learning something they don't know. Oh man. And every adult, you know how it was when you was little and somebody helped you. And mom and dad may not know how or had the capacity to do, but when somebody helped you to learn something and expose you to something that you didn't have, had no access, and you find out, wow, yeah, that's what we're talking about.
If they do something. But now, before I turn to my stuff, for my speaking stuff, I am going to be representing, again, my job as well, Northland. We keep talking about these Thursday food trucks because they're important. So if you're free Thursdays in August, starting August 8th, please come out to Northland, which is 683 Northland Avenue. And it's going to be Thursdays from 5 to 7. Actually, WUFO is doing the DJing at it. So come out and get some good music. But come out and get some good food as well. Get some information on what we're trying to do in the community. We're trying to get trade jobs out to the community and just make sure that everybody has access to what we call family sustaining wages. Because nobody, no child, no adult deserves to live in poverty. And we just got to get those opportunities out there. And speaking about opportunities, and even more reflective on what my mom was doing, that idea of I can't be a hypocrite like we talked about is kind of what I even want to talk about today with my stuff. Personally, me outside of Northland, I teach talking skills, right? Speech skills, communication skills. If you're in the corporate world, maybe you know them as soft skills. And the way that I do it is a little different from other places, because what I look to do is enhance what we already have, our already existing habits, to make us better, right? I want to enhance who we are, not change it.
Right.
And it's around this idea of that silence, right? Let's think about silence. Somebody, when you're young, may think, I want to be a boss of a company. They might be a little more quiet. And what will the world tell them? They'll tell them that silence is wrong, that silence is bad. But I'll tell people all the time, and I try to build this awareness, especially with our youth. And this is the mindset that it starts with, is that you can be anything, appearing as you are. You just have to have the confidence to appear as. That's a little convoluted to say, but I'm saying that to say that you don't have to change who you are to fit a role, right? A boss doesn't have a role. An entrepreneur doesn't have a role, or doesn't have a image of what that has to look like socially. And what I'm saying that to say, and I know I'm sounding in circles because I'm normally not talking about this stuff, but I'm saying that to say is we have existing social habits that are built over time when you're a young person. And the main two that are the most important are how often you speak, right? Extroversion and introversion. Then there's directness and indirectness. And the way that I talk about these two aspects, or these two traits that we have, is that you can talk for success as you are. And what that means is that if I'm a natural person who loves to talk a lot, and I'm someone who, I feel like I'm explaining this in a way that's a little complicated. I know this sounds weird, but this is part of what happens when we speak on the radio. I really want to start over. I feel like I'd rather start from the top, because I want to really make sure this is important and is understood, because this is not a sales pitch. This is not me trying to get you to come to something or to come to a class. I really want to help people understand and enhance the way that they communicate, because communication to me is the basis of everything. When I look at how we are with our different age demographics, young people and elders and young, going both ways, I personally believe, I don't believe any young person wakes up and doesn't want to be successful. Right. And even to what Mom was saying, I don't believe a lot of elders in our community don't want to help the youth.
That's right.
I believe there's a disconnect or a misunderstanding. And so what we need to do with communication is work to eliminate these misunderstandings. But in the pursuit of eliminating those misunderstandings, we can't sacrifice who we are. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense.
And I'm saying that to say that in not sacrificing who we are, sometimes we get so caught up on how something has to look. I don't have to be loud to be a boss, because I can lead by example through my actions. I don't have to be quiet. I don't have to be super aggressive to be a great father. I can explain gently, right? I don't have to be passive or meek to be a great woman. No, I can be demanding and stand my own. Right. But understand that it's okay to show up as you are, to enhance who you are and be aware of your blind spots, is the key that I think a lot of people have to understand, that's stopping them from getting where they want to get to. An example that I always use, or why I got into this, is because I look at the state of young people today, even when it comes to progressing ourselves. I know so many young people who have skills out of this world. We have abilities out of this world, knowledge out of this world, but we don't have the ability to articulate to others either the value behind it, or articulate why we want to do what we do, that funnels us into these avenues that we don't like. We hear time and time again that young people don't want to do things, right? That we don't, they don't want to advance themselves. We don't want to take the steps. But what I believe it is a plague that we're all suffering from. We have phones in our pocket, but that doesn't mean I know how to speak. And even at where I work at Northland, we hear time and time again that people, especially young ones, come in with all the skills, all the knowledge that they need, but we fail. We fail in the interview, right? We bomb in the interview because we aren't able to articulate ourselves. We don't have these skills. And the problem is when you're a part of a society that demands so much out of communication, when communication is so important to get ahead, but yet it's not taught, you end up with a generation of people who don't know how to interact in that society. It's not like back in the day. We had COVID. We never seen nothing like that. In those 2 years, it may only seem like 2 years for you. And if you're a little older, if you're 60, that's a fraction of your life. But for me, who's only 20, that's 10% of my life. And 10% of my life that I was in my house, not able to interact. At a developmental time of my life, there's a lot of young people out there who are more connected than ever in history, but are more lonely than they've ever been. That's right. And what it comes down to, again, is this ability to communicate. But I personally believe, with the current things that we have in place, let alone the fact that we don't teach in the schools, We are not adequately helping young people understand how to communicate as they are. And a lot of the things that we have in place are built around changing who you are rather than enhancing.
Exactly.
And when you fight to be something that you're not, you're going to struggle. I'm saying that to say, going back to what I started with, the reason why I talk about what I do is because there are a lot of young people who believe they have to change to get ahead. You have to talk more. When we think about ideas like networking, I'm personally someone who's just not the best networker. It's crazy. I speak for a living, but I naturally I'm more introverted on the introverted side. I don't love to necessarily always go up and talk about a bunch of things with a bunch of people. I'll talk to you if it's important to me, but I can't talk to everybody about everything. I don't have that long of a social battery. But for years, when I left out of high school, I believed that I had to change that about myself. I spent months going to networking events trying to change these aspects, and I struggled. And it wasn't until I started to understand who I was as as a social creature, understanding how I can be better as my natural style, that I was able to start seeing progression. And I developed this system that we're going to talk about in a little bit that you can use to help you understand not only yourself, but teach this ability to communicate with others. Because like we said, if it wasn't important, I wouldn't be here saying it, and I wouldn't feel so passionately about it. But in our society that we live in, your ability to communicate is becoming ever important, and a lack of an ability to communicate is becoming more and more impacting to your ability to be successful. I'm saying that to say, how many young people or old people do you know are in prisons, are in graves, purely because they couldn't articulate how they feel? Purely because they couldn't articulate or explain what was going on in their mind, and the thoughts that were going on in their mind that led them to make the actions that they did. Like we talk about all the time, I constantly on this show say the same things. What do I say? We need to change our conversations. But I would be a hypocrite if I were to say we need to change our conversations without helping explain how we can do so. And again, I don't think it's not that young people don't want to be helped. I don't think it's that communities don't want to change or that Buffalo doesn't want to be successful. I think it's that we don't know how, and we're not teaching how. And so again, this is what my mindset started with when I even stepped away from school. I'm only about 20 years old, and I've been doing this for the past 2 years. But again, this wasn't something that I was forced into. I graduated with a 4.0. I had options. I had things I could have done to maneuver, but this was so important to me that I wanted to step away from school to teach this idea. And it's called CRT. Understanding that if you think about how we improve communication right now, right? It's not taught in school. So where do people go? They go to things such as, you ever heard of DISC? It's an assessment, right? Or you go to a personality test, right? You might go online and search up YouTube videos or watch all these things that will tell you, oh, this is what you need to do to change. This is what you need to do to change, but it's not helping us, right? It's not effective. It's not giving us the tools that we need. And what I personally believe the tools that we need, like I said, are a simpler system and a way to understand in real time. That's why it's called CRT, which stands for communicating in real time. And I know this sounds like a lot, but once you understand it, I promise you it'll help start to understand some of the social things that we see and why we see so many misunderstandings. Because a lot of misunderstandings aren't just in society, but they're in homes, right? You'll hear, and we'll talk about it later. I'm not going to get into it again. I got to get back in this. I haven't talked about this in a while, so I know I might be.
Hey, listen, you're doing fine. I'm loving how you roll into it. And at the same time as you speak, I can see where the mazes and the blockages that if I'm young, that would deter me. You know, here I have a hunger to do certain things or learn certain things, and it doesn't seem to be any opportunity, or gee, you gotta go here, then turn here and go 3 steps that way, and then jump over here and then go down this one, getting to it. And yet there's so many talented adults in our community. And I often said about block club. In block clubs, you got some kind of every skill. And, you know, on the weekends, 1 or 2 of them could do a 1-hour program to show something, how to do something, to learn something, work with them in math. In fact, if a block club was to do a census on their own block, how many young people? And what grades are they in? Even, you know, check out to see if they have certain interests that you can begin to say, oh, here's someone that wants to grow up to be an accountant. Wouldn't it be great to have a little accounting or math, arithmetic on the weekend where young folks could get a leg up? This is where I think if we're really gonna engage our young people, not only do we have to give them room for them to spread their wings for their interests, we also have to help them learn the things that is a must, some of the basic things. And that is lacking. And I think programs like what you're in gives people to come in, you want to be such and such. Here's a program that will give you not only the vernacular of language, but will also more than likely have an opportunity for at least a scale model or working on it or a visitation to where you can get a much up closer personal touch with it. And I think that makes a difference than just talking in the air about what people can get. But when you create a show and tell or do something for them, it's a huge difference. And I think for that we have to remember we're talking about children of every age now, folks. Understand, you can't just leave the little ones out there and just they start learning early. You know, when kids in some families when they're buying them these big Tonka trucks and everything, that begins to get the kid's mind stirred because he can see the world around him. He may not fully understand it. Riding in the car with mom and dad, and he see big trucks and workmen. It strikes his mind when kids are playing with their little fire trucks, what they want to be. I'm just saying, as adults, if we be there to help be a springboard that can launch you to where you can have more hands-on, more up-close activities with those desires, your confidence will be off the hook because you'll feel like I can do something and you're learning something and it will change one's whole life. I think you as a younger person is really exciting because some people think you have to wait till you get old and it's relative what they call old before they do something of that magnitude that is enlightening not only for themselves but for the community. I just think we need to look at others like yourself who are engaged in these things, and we need to listen to y'all more.
Right, and I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna pause on what I was talking about CRT because I think that in order to understand that that's a 90-minute class, and I'm realizing now that I'm struggling to try to kind of fit this into 30 minutes. And if I had to take away one thing, this is what it would be. We have a lack of communication in our community. There is a lack of an ability to communicate. There are conversations that need to be had that aren't being had. And the solutions that we're giving to young people and people alike of all types of just go get more degrees, just keep applying is not helping us get ahead.
Nope.
When I leave away from college and I maybe leave with my one degree in a class graduating with maybe 100 other people with my degree, and I get into the market and I'm looking at inflation and I'm looking at what I can currently make, and I'm applying for these competitive jobs, and it's me versus 10 other people in a room, I'm going to tell you something. The degree now becomes the entry. It's not going to get you the job.
Nope.
And we need to equip our young people with the skills to communicate effectively so that we can dominate in these settings. When we're talking about raising up people to be able to take these political mantles, these elected offices, to be able to advocate for us, we need to raise up people who have the ability to speak. When we're talking about communities where we want to teach and transfer skills, we need people who have the ability to speak. When we're talking about families where we have fathers and mothers who need to talk to their young people, we need the ability to speak. And it's not an age thing. It's a skill thing. Nobody's born speaking, but we need to have more time, more classes, more structure built around learning how to communicate because it's becoming ever important. And we're struggling. We're lacking. How many people are my age? How many people are graduating schools and can barely read or write? And I'm not saying this to say that I'm the solution. I have one. If you don't like my solution, that's fine. But we cannot ignore this issue. There's nothing else in these 30 minutes, regardless of what I came here to talk about. Scratch CRT off the surface. What we need to first understand is that there's a lack of communication. The reason why a lot of young people don't know how to get ahead is because even if we get in these rooms, we don't know what to say. We don't know how to communicate ourselves. We don't even know what questions to ask. And we're not getting asked these questions because, again, we have older people who also don't know how to communicate. And it's not that we don't know how to communicate for ourselves, because I'm cool with my friends. I'm cool, and you're probably cool when you're talking to your select group of people. but we need abilities to communicate in diverse social settings. And that requires a deeper understanding of communication that a lot of people don't want to touch on. It's great that you can be quiet when others in the room, but there's going to come a time when you need to speak up. Do you know how to do that and still maintain who you are and be respectful? There's going to come a time when you are going to be in a room where it's stressful. Can you still maintain your calm and composure and know how to speak? There's going to be a time when you're going to be in the exact seat I'm in. You're going to get a platform to speak. You're going to come up with all you want to talk about, and it's just going to start going all to the left. You're going to start getting confused in your mind, and you still have to be able to sit back and say, okay, let me slow down, calm myself, and say, what do I want to get out of this, and what can I still articulate? And I think what that comes down to is, whether it's with me or other people, we have we are missing an ability to communicate. Bad, like very bad. And it's starting to affect even the things trickling down. Because we're not communicating, look what happens like this. We don't communicate with our elders. We don't learn valuable skills like voting, so we don't vote. And so then what happens? We have an important election coming up where we need a lot of support from a certain age demographic. But because we don't have these skills, now we're playing catch up. And even if we were trying to catch up, we still don't know how to communicate. So what are you catching up to? There's a lack of an ability to communicate.
Well, I think you're right. Go ahead. Look, when you hit on voting, you're hitting on something that is a necessity to us right now, and important, with the biggest opportunity to make a historical change in the way politics has been done here in the U.S. And the ability to have the first time to elect a woman as president, a Black woman at that, I think people should feel, especially Black people. She's going to serve everybody, but I'm talking about should feel the juice that many thought this opportunity would come a long time later. Folks been hoping for a long time. But the thing about this moment is that the wind of politics has to carry the desire and needs of young people. Because right now, your generation can't even really think about a house. Even the jobs that we often give y'all is not a fulfilling one, especially pay-wise. And sometimes you wind up having to take 2 or 3 jobs that are equally unsatisfied because of the lack of pay. But for the need that you have to work, you wind up taking it. And I'm just saying, listeners, this is not hard for us to figure out. In fact, we don't have to figure it out. This is our history. We know it. And what I hear Austin's challenging us to is to make a change and to recognize we got aid here right now. I'm not saying stop going after the things the government has to do or any foundation, but I'm saying there's some things that we can do that is equally important that we're not doing. And that one is immediately learning how to communicate with each other and talk. I've heard people complain about a system who have never complained directly about what was the negative impact they were getting. And people who hold on until somebody else bring it up. Well, if you're holding something that you should have said a few years ago, and then all of a sudden a little bit of it come up today from somebody, you still haven't done what you need to do.
And even with what you were saying earlier, taking all assumptions off the table. You said jobs, you said a house. I don't know what's important to every single young person in America, but my question becomes, if you were to walk up to a young person, do you have the skills to identify what's important to them and help them understand why the current election is important to what's important to them? And if you can't identify what's important to them or help them understand that connection, then you're not going to be then you're not going to be able to bring young people over. That's all I'm saying. When we think about that, when I say a phrase like that, what the immediate thought that will come to people's minds is that's not me. Oh, I'm not good with my words like that. I'm not on the radio like that. But it doesn't have to appear like that. Right. Maybe it's just asking better questions. Maybe it's just being silent and letting them answer. Maybe it's just being able to use your emotion and your excitement to help them understand how important it is. And what CRT is supposed to do, what I wish I could have went deeper on, is it helps people understand who they are so they can understand that. Because how you're going to be able to win a young person over to vote is going to be different depending on your strengths and weaknesses. But you got to be aware of them and know how to use them to your ability to get young people like me to vote. Because right now, I hear a lot of monologues, I hear a lot of lectures, and I'm going to tell you right now, if you walk down the street to the average young person, they're not interested in politics. And the disconnect is, I don't think it's because they don't want, I don't think it's because we don't want to be involved. I don't think we understand how important it is. And what that comes down to is other generations' ability to communicate that importance to us. And that doesn't mean you got to be a speaker. Everybody doesn't got to be Malcolm X or MLK. But if you have the ability to speak and you have voice and you have breath, you need to figure out what your strengths are, what environments and social settings you are good at, and figure out how to get young people there and convince them how to vote or convince them on whatever is important. Because we have a lot of important issues in this city, but we have a lot of people who aren't aware of how important they are. And that comes down to our ability to communicate.
I'm sitting here and I'm like bubbling in right in my mind, and in my mind's eye, I can see this, what we're talking about, having an impact on our community, because we know our community. And the community knows itself, and some things that need to be changed. Oh boy, some folks are going to be resistant, but that's okay. And that's one of the other things to learn. Resistance to what you're trying to do is not enough for you to turn around. The resistance is only temporary. And I would say that as we talk about how to change, especially for young people, let's equip them. We equip them by giving them pertinent information that enhances their life and the life around them and the life of the community. So teaching someone to do something, I don't mean just saying, oh, well, you used to teach someone, each one teach one, and we're going to have a better outcome. And I'm not talking about in the by and by. I'm talking about as this year shuts down, you're going to see a big change in how we engage in community level. There's a different tone flowing. And some of it is because of Kamala Harris, who is running for the presidency of the United States. It should change. And I believe that we have the kind of focus now that goal is to get rid of the naysayers. And as we get rid of the naysayers, we have to begin to ensure that those who know communicate the good stuff. Keep talking. Austin, that man, when you talk about communication, and I hear so much said in the street that don't make sense, that are just ill, and some of that will go away from young people. It's no different than older folks who get habits that aren't necessarily good. Too many people walking around with an MF and a GD and just steadily cursing every other word. That's not the kind of communication we're talking about, although we know it happens and that there's something in there. But we're talking about communication that enables you to be understood by whomever you're talking to or whoever hears you. And to be clear enough, if you're making an ask, that it's clear. I am asking. If it's a demand, that you're making a demand. I am demanding. I am calling for accountability or whatever. It seems simple, but it's not simple if you don't hold yourself accountable, because it's easy to get on a tangent about something you heard that is not true, but because you heard it from somebody who you think is all that, you run off repeating it. That's not communicating. That's not following through. That ain't what we want you to do. If you learn the proper way, healthier way to communicate, you'll be able to say whatever it is in a better frame that is more understandable and more respectful for how you should say it. We got adults. Some of the talk I hear them saying is like, anyway, I'm not gonna go there.
We're heading out actually, and like I said, I know I might have sounded a little bit all over the place in the beginning, but if you had to take one takeaway, is that the necessity to communicate. If you walk down the street, the average person that you talk to, can you convey your point? Can you identify what's important to others and help them understand why what's important to you should be important to them? And if you can't, we're gonna struggle because we have a lot of young people and elder people alike who have a bunch of important issues, but we don't have the ability to communicate why they're important. And so people are going to continue to be misinformed. To say, I want to again repeat the summer camp because the summer camp is happening from August 26th to September 1st from 9 to 3 every day. It's going to be $25 to register, but upon completion, if they complete, you're going to be getting them $25 back. So it's really not costing you nothing. And then if you're free on those Thursdays in August, starting August 8th, we have Thursdays, which are food truck Thursdays at Northland, starting on the second week from 5 to 7. At 683 Northland. So come out and check us out and get some information. Thank you. I appreciate y'all. Jim, you got the last couple words.
Hey, well, I appreciate you, and I appreciate Tasha, and I appreciate listeners and those who have texted in, and I definitely appreciate our engineer, King Chad. Yeah. Vote for anything he on. Vote for him. Just vote for him, you know. And I'm just telling you, look, we drop some good word in the morning. True word is the vision of our community. Healthy word. I'm telling you, stick with us. Conversations with Jim Anderson. And thank you, Brother Josh. Look at me, Josh. Brother Jomo. And I know we off the air, but I want to say thanks to Jomo, who also commented on you. And he said, you're going deep. I know. You always go deep, bro.
Thank you. I appreciate it. No, I wasn't.
And we're going to do it.